This happened in Westfield, New Jersey in 2014. The story became known as the Watcher House, and it's real. In June 2014, the Broadus family bought a large home on Boulevard for their family. It was their dream house. A quiet neighborhood, good neighbors, a big yard. They planned to move in with their 3 children. A few days after they purchased the house, while they were still moving in, the father, Derek, went to check the mail. Among the usual bills and ads, there was a letter with no return address. He opened it, expecting it to be junk mail, but the letter said, "Welcome to the Boulevard. I have been watching this house for decades, and now it is my turn to watch it again." The family thought it was a stupid prank. But a few days later, a second letter arrived. This time it said, "You have brought young blood into the house. Have you found all the rooms yet? I know where they sleep, and it will help me to watch them." The letter mentioned the children's names, their ages, and even which rooms they slept in. The family was terrified and contacted the police. The police started an investigation, questioned the neighbors, but found nothing suspicious. The letters kept coming. I asked the father to watch the house before he passed away. Now it is my turn. You don't know what is hidden within the walls of this house. The family installed security cameras, motion sensors, and stopped letting their children play outside. At night, they heard strange noises in the house, creaks, bangs, footsteps, even though the cameras showed nothing. They stopped sleeping at night, fearing that someone was truly watching them. The letters continued for months, and the police could never identify who the watcher was. In one letter, he wrote, "Maybe it would be better if you moved away. Young blood will be mine, and the house will be waiting for its next family." The family was forced to move out, never fully moving in. They tried to sell the house, but the story spread quickly, and no one wanted to buy the Watcher House. This story became so well known that it was reported by the New York Times, CNN, and ABC News. To this day, the identity of the Watcher has never been discovered. And the house on Boulevard in Westfield still stands there. They say that sometimes the new owners receive strange letters signed simply the Watcher, and no one knows who this person is, why they watch the house, or what they truly want. I used to live in Denver, Colorado, in a small 2-story house with my girlfriend at the time. We moved there in early 2009, thinking it would be the perfect place to start our life together. It was an old house, built in the 1950s, with creaky wooden floors and a basement that always smelled like dust and earth. But we loved it because it was ours, and the rent was cheap. The first few months were peaceful. We spent our weekends fixing up the place, painting the walls, and planting flowers in the small front yard. At night, we would watch movies in the living room, hearing the occasional creak of the house settling, and it felt normal. But around September, things started to change. At first, it was small things we noticed. We would find the kitchen light on in the morning, even though we were sure we turned it off. Food would go missing, a sandwich we left in the fridge for lunch, a can of soup, a few granola bars. We joked about it, saying maybe the house was haunted or we had a friendly ghost with midnight cravings. But then, one night, we were lying in bed, the room completely dark, when we heard footsteps above us. Our attic was small, barely enough to crawl in, and we used it only for boxes of old clothes and holiday decorations. The footsteps were soft, almost cautious, moving slowly across the ceiling. We froze, listening, holding our breaths. Then, silence. We convinced ourselves it was a raccoon or a squirrel that found its way in, and we decided to check it out in the morning. But the next day, when I opened the attic hatch, there was nothing. No droppings, no holes, no sign of an animal. That should have calmed us, but it didn't. Over the next few weeks, the footsteps continued, always late at night, always slow and careful. Sometimes we would hear soft thumps, like something being moved. I called pest control, and they came to check the attic, but they found nothing. We started locking our bedroom door at night, just in case. Then, things escalated. We began to notice items in the house move to different places. A chair in the kitchen would be slightly pulled out when we woke up. The television remote would be on the coffee table when we swore we left it on the couch. One morning, my girlfriend found her jewelry box opened and a ring was missing. We turned the house upside down looking for it, but it was gone. That night, I stayed up, sitting in the dark living room, listening. At around 2:30 a.m., I heard it. The attic hatch, shifting. A soft thump on the floorboards above. I grabbed a flashlight and a baseball bat, my heart pounding, and slowly climbed the attic ladder. I pushed the hatch open and shined the light inside. At first, I saw nothing but boxes and shadows. Then, in the far corner, I saw movement. A man, dirty, thin, with long hair and a scruffy beard, wearing old, layered clothes. His eyes reflected the light, and for a moment, we just stared at each other. Then he whispered, "Please don't." I froze. He didn't move, just sat there, clutching a small bag to his chest. I backed down, closed the hatch, and called the police. When they arrived, they went up and pulled him down. He didn't resist. We found out he had been living in our attic for weeks, maybe months. He had a small mattress made from old blankets, and he had been sneaking down at night to take food and small items. The police told us it wasn't the first time they had seen something like this in Denver, where homeless individuals found empty attics or basements to live in without the owners knowing. But what haunted us the most was what they found in his bag. Inside were small items he had taken from US Me girlfriend's missing ring, some photos from our albums, small trinkets, and, disturbingly, a small kitchen knife. He never used it, but the fact that he had it was enough to terrify us. We moved out a month later. Even now, years later, I still find myself checking attics and closets, listening at night for soft footsteps above me. It's the fear that someone could be living above you, watching you as you sleep, waiting for you to leave the room so they can come down. And you would never know. They knocked at 3 a.m. I grew up in a small, quiet town where nothing ever really happened. We didn't even lock our doors at night. But that changed one winter when I was 16. It was around 3 a.m. when I first heard it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow knocks on my bedroom window. At first, I thought it was the wind or a branch hitting the glass. But it happened again the next night, at exactly the same time. Knock, knock, knock. This time, I sat up in bed, heart pounding. I pulled the curtain back just enough to peek outside. We lived near the woods, and I could see the tree line under the glow of the moon, but I didn't see anyone. The third night, the knocking came again. I was too scared to move, so I just lay there, listening, holding my breath. That's when I heard it. A voice, whispering, "Let me in." I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. I was frozen, listening to the soft whisper outside my window, begging to come in. The next morning, I told my parents, but they brushed it off as a nightmare. But I knew it wasn't a dream. I could see fingerprints on the window, smudges on the glass, as if someone had pressed their hands there during the night. That night, I stayed awake, waiting. At exactly 3 a.m., the knocking returned. Knock, Knock, knock. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight, pointing it at the window. That's when I saw it. A pale face, eyes too dark to be human, staring back at me through the glass. It was smiling, but its smile was wrong. Too wide, stretching across its face. It didn't move, just stood there, tapping on the window with long, thin fingers. Knock, knock, knock. I screamed, and my parents came running, but when they turned on the lights, it was gone. Outside, there were footprints in the snow leading up to my window, but they didn't lead back into the woods. They just stopped. I don't know what was knocking at my window at 3 a.m., but sometimes, even now, years later, I wake up to hear it again. Knock, knock, knock. And I still wonder what would have happened if I had opened the window. Leave a comment if these stories got under your skin. Subscribe for weekly horror pulled from real life. And don't forget some games? You don't win them. You just survive long enough to regret playing.